The status of your package has changed. We've damaged it so far beyond belief that we need to return it to you. Love, UPS. What? That's new? Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Yeah, apparently that's a thing. UPS can damage your package so bad that they need to send it back to you. Because a couple of weeks ago, we documented this really cool custom color Explorer. It had the cool flip-flop green and red colors going on, and that was a fantastic one-off piece by the Gibson Mod Collection. That thing took no time at all to sell, and after it did go away, I had tons of people messaging me about it. So after it sold, I packed it up and we shipped it out. It goes through Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, then we get to Florida, and then, oops, something's happened. They returned it to me. All right, let's see the damage here. I was honestly surprised. I was expecting something much worse, but I have not opened this yet. So this left my house as a regular Gibson box. And it appears the box got just so completely shredded that they taped new cardboard to the outside just to make sure it would arrive to me safely. But what kind of frustrates me about this process is I had to pay to ship it to him, and I had to pay to ship it back to me, and then I'm going to have to pay to ship it back to him again if it was safe. I would have rather them just have delivered it to his house and then we could have assessed any damage there. But this must just be part of UPS's policy if a box gets so destroyed. We're just kind of documenting the process of opening this to see what went on. I mean, we got a big hole over here. I mean, the top of the box looks all right, but we definitely had some sort of extreme damage down here where they had to, sculpt basically a whole brand new bottom of this. I'm scared the guitar's not even in here. I guess we should strip off the new cardboard that they put on here just to see what the true damage was. Okay, yeah. The entire box is just missing. How does that happen? Okay, so the box somehow it looks like it got cut by something, and then the box got ripped, and then it's probably in UPS's best interest to send it back because, okay, there's like some sort of like a grease on the outside of the case now. But they probably wanted to send it back because if there is missing contents, the original sender would know better than the person who's receiving it. So that way it doesn't become a he says, she says type situation where they're fighting it out like, hey, where's my $20,000 that was also supposed to be in this? But yeah, it's the entire back half of the box was just gone. And it looks like it just had a big slice down here too. But now, as far as the guitar, I don't hear anything moving around too much in there. Maybe just the COA, but I normally pack those really good so they don't. So we'll have to see what the damage might be, because it could also just be like some extreme finish checking has happened. Because unfortunately, these colors are very prone to that. All right. Let's see. Okay, we've got the guitar in here. That's half the battle. I actually just saw a case where a guitar just completely disappeared with UPS. It was a cool purple Florentine Les Paul custom. I'm glad that's not the case this time. So far, it's looking okay, but now the scary part. Let's feel the back of the neck. I always hate it when I feel these and they're splintered wood. All right, I think we're gonna be okay. That finish checking was already there. The neck is looking okay at first glance. We already had that line around the neck joint, but the side of the neck is looking okay. All right, this area is new to me. Maybe I just missed it. It just looks like a paint blemish though. So let's just check it over real quick here. Okay, it all checks out to me. It looks like it survived the trip. I did notice a few new things though. There's like some paint blemishes around this area. There's another small chip right there. I don't see how that would have happened in shipping, so I must just not have seen those. I mean, the Mod Collection guitars, they're never 100% perfect with their finish jobs. They're not meant to be. I think we came out relatively unscathed on this outside of a slightly damaged case. And by that, we're talking a couple of scuffs. Looks like maybe a slight imprint and a very tiny Tolex tear. And somebody ate a bucket of chicken wings on the top. Let's see if we can clean that up real quick. Yep, that seemed to have done the trick. It'll dry okay. But my goodness, this guitar is such a trooper. I wasn't gonna share this story because I wasn't really proud of it, but you guys remember this ding on the back of the guitar that we talked about in the episode? I told you a stand hit it. Allow me to elaborate a little bit more on that story. In my reviews and demos, I like to get shots like these just because, it gives you a slightly different viewing angle, like how you might see it on your wall or something, or this angle really helps show off the flip-flop nature of this finish. But this Explorer case is so large, the stand doesn't fit on my table with the case, without standing off the table. So during the filming, I had it something like this, where I figured, the stand's just slightly off the table, it's fine. But I went to move the case, not realizing the case was holding it there. So here's a representation of what happened as my heart was like, oh my gosh, no! The stand falls like this, and the guitar just hits the ground like this. It falls out of the stand and then hits it. And then the stand just kept falling. And it's at this point, it's like, oh no, the neck. But thankfully, this thing has such a big chunky neck, and I do have rather padded carpet, so there was no damage. But later on looking, I did see that there was some sort of an impression right here, so I figured the stand hit it somehow. I mean, it is a metal stand, it's double ridged, so it matches the double imprint right here. But I just thought I would elaborate on that story just to show you how tough this Explorer Custom is. It dealt with that while filming it, and then it survived extreme UPS damage. You cannot break this thing. But I checked with the buyer, he still wants it, so I've sent it down to him, and it has arrived safely the second time. So if you think this is a I hate UPS video, no. This just happened to be an isolated case of damage. It happens. It's bound to happen. That's why you need to insure that. Ever since I switched over to the business insurance, they don't hassle me anywhere near as much as regular. But now that I've had some time to think about it, I believe what happened to this thing is that it got caught on one of their conveyor belts. And that's what ripped the box apart, and maybe some of the grease that they use on that is what ended up getting on the case here. However, when I first got the email, I totally thought what was going to get redelivered back to me was going to be a giant snake bite from a forklift just going straight through this Explorer. Which, to be honest, would have made the guitar kind of cool had it survived, and it just has a big hole through it. Similar to the Holy V or Holy Explorers. But all things considered, we got out of this unscathed. But our next story for tonight, unfortunately, not quite the same. You guys remember that really cool Ultra one-off unbound Les Paul that had the crazy sparkles? Yeah, unfortunately, that irreplaceable guitar also got damaged in transit. I had sold it to a viewer of the show who loves collecting ultra sparkly guitars. And after it got delivered, unfortunately, I got this email in late January where he said he's providing me photos which show finish checking around the neck, which he was expecting with a finish like this, but then a crack. Yep, that is a very clear indication of a pretty sizable drop with the guitar, but it's really packed well. So finish checking like this, it can occur in transit, sometimes just by the temperatures changing, but a good drop will also cause that to happen. Now, a sizable drop, even further so, will create this whole smiley face fracture right here. Now, this is definitely not a completely broken guitar. Looking at the photos, it looks like you could probably still tune this up to pitch, but I did not have it in my hands, and you're gonna have to repair that. That's not something you could just forever use as is, I don't think. Because maybe these photos make it look better than it actually was. So that was a real bummer, because I reached out to the Gibson garage, because that's where it originally came from, to see if maybe they could do a made-to-measure on this guitar to custom create it, and unfortunately they said no, they cannot recreate this guitar. But what's funny is the person who built this guitar at Gibson, they reached out to me and said, hey, yeah, that's my guitar, really cool to see it's on your show, but they no longer work for them. And the guy who painted it, he's still with Gibson, and he said he had the paint, but unfortunately, he's with the custom shop, not necessarily like the repair and restoration department. So sending this into Gibson to get fixed wasn't necessarily an option for us due to the different departments that the people were located in. And for whatever reason, they just wanted this to be a true one-off. They did not want to remake an unbound Les Paul, which, okay, I get it. You've got tons of work. You didn't want to make this freak of a guitar again. Because I'm sure it took a while to create in the first place. But thankfully, I insure all my stuff just in case stuff like this happens. And when you have UPS Capital Insurance, which is like the business version of the regular insurance, it usually always gets paid out. So UPS has taken hold of this guitar. So you're probably going to find it at some sort of a liquidation auction. I'm not quite sure where in the United States it'll be, but if somebody finds this guitar, I feel really bad because the owner of it wanted to fix it, but part of the claims process is UPS had to take it into their custody, and then they just decided to cut a check rather than messing with anything else, which was not necessarily the desired outcome. So I'm trying to find this guitar again. Maybe we can purchase it back at, auction values and then find somebody who wants to tackle this repair job. So Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. It's a lot of doom and gloom, but oh well, it makes for good content at least. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day, and you might even enjoy this next one.